All right, guys, welcome back. Let's do an afternoon roundup of news because there's several different things here I've made a note of that I want to talk about. Welcome back to All Cars. I'm John, and I am absolutely obsessed with watching the news, seeing the news about what's going on in the auto world. And of course, I can't follow every single manufacturer out there, but I follow a few, and I found some interesting things here. So first off, we're going to start with Canoo, the embattled EV manufacturer that is burning through cash while it's relocating its headquarters and building not one but two factories. The first is that, no surprise, they've had some layoffs. But interestingly, they've hired people too. So it seems that they've laid off about 58 people in the past 6 months, but they've also announced that in that time period they're hiring 300 more. That's bringing their total workforce up to about 900-ish, a little bit more than that. What I find fascinating about this, it really makes sense to me. People are trying to present this as Canoo's having layoffs, but it really is a refocusing as they, I think, are wrapping up their gammas and moving somewhere else. They need to adjust the balance of who they have on staff. But I find the 900 people interesting. What the heck are they all doing? Because they don't have a factory. They don't, as far as we can tell, have anything installed. They're not ready to build. It's not like they're training people. I don't know what 900 people are doing with this company right now. You know what? If you know, let me know. But other than the development, they're only building about 8 cars a week right now at the gamma level. What are 900 people doing with this company? Now, also, number 2 with them is that they announced after the fact that there are going to be delays in the plant they are building in Pryor, Oklahoma. Now, they're building 2. They're building a smaller one over in Arkansas, and they're building one in Pryor. And if you remember, initially they were going to use VDL as a contract manufacturer, and then they changed their mind and decided they were going to do it themselves. And now here they are in this cash crunch, and they need to start delivering product is what they need to start doing. But they don't have a factory. I actually follow the Canoo Reddit thread, and there's a lot of talk in there. Most of it's about the stock, but there's a lot of talk out there about the fact that Pryor is supposed to be building cars in 2024, and right now it's just dirt. They're not doing anything. And people who live in Arkansas have driven by the Canoo building, and there's nothing going on other than once in a while they have some press things. So don't really know what's going on with this manufacturer. I still remain optimistic. I think they've got a super cool car. I think there's a solid niche for them. I've expressed in other videos my concerns about them. But one of my big problems here is that the news on the delay actually came from Tulsa World, I think that's it. That's the newspaper out there, because it was announced by the industrial park, not by Canoo. So Canoo, and I don't know, the one person they might have who's running the press room over there in social media, they didn't come out and say, we've had a delay and here's why. They're not getting in front of any of the bad news that's in front of them. They are letting other people break it. And this is really interesting to compare Canoo to Vinfast and how they're handling press. Vinfast is doing almost everything right. They're talking big, they're playing big, and they're hitting their milestones. Canoo, they're excited and they're kind of like rah-rah, but they're not actually communicating. So even as not an investor, just people who generally read, what the heck's going on at Canoo? So personal, before we move on here, I'm just going to say, if anybody from Canoo watches this, I'm not down on your company. I am not here to talk negative about you. I can only talk about what I know. And I think you've got a cool lifestyle vehicle. I think your truck is cool. I think you've got a platform that could really be something. I don't know that you're the next Tesla. I'll be honest with you. But right now, what you're doing is reaching out to local news people to drive the vehicle around on like an airport. Nobody's getting tours. Nobody knows what's going on. And so you're allowing the bad press to pile up. So I have a humble proposal for you. I live in North Carolina. Arkansas is not that far away. And I'm not Supercar Blondie, but call me, email me, invite me out there. Let me see what you're doing. Let me see the people working, and let me do a walk around and a drive of one of your vehicles, of your lifestyle vehicle. Let me give an opinion of it. Because here's the deal. Right now, people are living in a vacuum, and it doesn't appear that you're anywhere close to delivering products this year. Vinfast over here, granted, they are much larger, they're much better financed, but they're reaching out to people in social media who are on TikTok, who are on YouTube. They actually took people to Vietnam, not Arkansas, Vietnam, to let them be introduced, talk to the engineers, and drive the cars on a admittedly very closed course. But they got to drive different levels of prototypes as they near production. You should be doing the same thing. Hopefully you'd reach out to me, but talk to others too. Redline Reviews would be happy to come out and do a video on, or two, on what's going on out there. Number 2, let's talk about Vinfast. Now, this is pretty interesting. No surprise, I'm moving on to them. They are, first off, getting ready to start opening up their stores in shopping malls in California. You can see right here on the screen, they've identified their first 6 locations, and these are going to be opening up sometime in the next week or so on their way to their first 30 stores. This is pretty exciting. It looks like they are still on track to start selling here at the end of the year. And then number 2, huge news, they announced just today, as a matter of fact, they are partnering with Prologium with a major investment for solid state batteries. Now this is huge. I checked it out. Prologium actually started in 2006. They filed over 500 patents on a proprietary solid state battery that is completely recyclable. Now they've provided batteries to consumer electronics. They've moved into the auto field, and as a matter of fact, back in January, they signed an agreement with Mercedes-Benz. I don't think they're providing EV batteries right now. I think it's just a development agreement with them. But Vinfast is making a undisclosed amount in the tens of millions of dollars investment in Prologium to work together, and Prologium is going to be dedicating a significant portion of their first solid-state battery factory for EVs to Vinfast. For comparison, so far, Prologium has provided 7,300 batteries to EV companies. This agreement, they agree to 30,000 apparently every year. So this is going to be powering, and this is meant to go into Vinfast's next generation of EVs, and Prologium is not only expanding, but they're planning on solid-state battery manufacturing in the US and Canada. This is a pretty big deal. I mentioned about a year and a half ago that I kind of thought solid-state was next. I think Toyota's probably got some skunk works working on this. But this is another big move by Vinfast, and when they say next generation of EVs, I don't know this. I didn't read this anywhere, but if you think about that, at the end of this year, they're going to roll out the VF8, the VF9, and then in a year and a half or so, something like that, they're going to have a factory near completion, at least here in North Carolina, and they're going to be rolling out the VF7 and the VF6. I wonder if they're making this kind of move that we're not looking at the next redesign of their cars, but we might be talking about the VF7 and VF6 having solid state. That's pretty exciting stuff. And with a factory here in North Carolina, it's supposed to be making up to, what, I think 150,000 cars a year when it gets fully built out. Well, Prologium needs several different factories to provide enough batteries just for that. This is big news, and it's really exciting, and I'm glad to hear it. And finally, from automotive news, an article that kind of caught my eye for political reasons, and it's interesting. This is that the EPA has come out and said that states can set their own targets to meet emissions standards. I don't want to go into the whole thing, but this is not like the EPA saying, here's our gas standards, right? This is, you as a manufacturer, you have to hit a corporate fuel economy of X. Now, this is interestingly worded, that there are targets that have been set. 50% reduction or a net zero emissions by 2050 is the goal. And they're not coming out with the here's and wherefores and what to's. They are telling the individual states to set your own goals. Now, interestingly, the EPA does not have the ability to fine or punish states. All they can do is tell you to set your goals to meet this nationwide standard, and then you have to report to them every year if you're on track, and if not, you have to report to them what your remedial actions are going to be. What a ridiculous thing. I mean, I think we're moving there anyway. We're moving there fast. I don't know why the government has to keep getting involved in all this when the most buyers want to move to EVs and we are seeing an explosion of them. What is the point in saying, well, we want to meet this goal. Now you have to decide how you are going to play nice with 50 other states, 49 other states, and meet it. And if you don't meet your own goals, you got to tell us what you're going to do, but we can't really punish you if you don't. What a stupid plan. Stupid plan. And that's all I've got on my mind today, guys. I hope you found this a little entertaining and a little informative. Let me know your thoughts below. Have a good one.